guys, before we even begin, just a piece of advice: spare only 1 hour of your time during the day to only practice. Even if it means you only practice 5 problems, it doesn't matter, but only 1 hour of practicing mathematics and physics, because these are subjects that require a lot of practice. So if you get used to that now, it's going to be better for you when you get to tertiary institution. Okay, so please spare yourself only 1 hour. Only 1 hour. Don't strain yourself like millions of hours. Only 1 hour per day. Do something in physics or practice one thing in physics. Talk to someone about physics. If you don't understand, talk on the group. But we're not there, we are here. So basically, you guys must be aware that organic compounds, they can be converted to other different organic compounds. So basically, we can convert alkenes to alkanes, we can convert alkenes to alcohols, we can convert alkanes to alkenes, we can convert multiple ways. So basically, all of those are organic reactions. For example, if we look at number one, we've got an alkene that we are beginning with here, because you guys are able to see that it has got a double bond here, right? There's a double bond between carbon 1 and carbon 2. So this is an alkene, all right? It's an unsaturated compound, which is an alkene. But later on, it is changing. This arrow is showing that it is changing, and GG is now an alkane. So basically, the homologous series has changed here from alkene to alkane. So this was an alkene at first, but now this is now an alkane. So do you realize, guys, that to some degree it is possible for us to be able to change one compound to make it the other compound. But to be able to do that, we actually need catalysts. So they are catalysts. Catalysts are basically those chemical reagents that we use so that we can speed up the process of a reaction. We speed up the reaction, okay? But they are not used up. So you guys knew how to define a catalyst from your grade 11s and your previous grades. So basically, a catalyst, how do you define a catalyst? So a catalyst is a substance, or you can say it's a chemical, or it's a reagent, or whatever that you can say. So a substance that speeds up the rate of reaction, or that speeds up the reaction. A substance that speeds up the reaction, without being used up. So this is known as a catalyst. So for us to be able to convert, maybe you want to convert an alkene to an alkane, we are going to need a particular catalyst to make this reaction to be possible. For example, if you look at reaction number 2, we are starting off with an alkene. This is also an alkene because it's having a double bond there. So on reaction number 2, we have got an alkene there. There's a double bond. But later on, we are converting this alkene, and later on, it's now becoming an alcohol, because now we have an OH group there, a hydroxyl group. So at first we had a double bond, which was a functional group for alkenes, but now we have a hydroxyl group, the OH group. So now this becomes an alcohol. So do you guys realize that here it is possible for you to be able to change organic compounds from one homologous series to another? Or you can be able to transform or convert an organic compound from one form to another, or change its functional group. But for that to happen, you will always need these reagents that we say they're known as catalysts. Their role in this whole thing, it is to speed up the reaction. They actually make the reaction possible in other ways. So if you don't have the catalyst, you are not able to convert your alkene to an alkane, or maybe your alkene to an alcohol, as shown in this M. So basically, catalyst is a substance that speeds up the reaction. It actually makes the reaction to go faster, but it is not used up in the process. So this is known as a catalyst. So let's now look at the different types of organic reactions that we are going to do today. So we have got addition reactions. So we've got addition reactions. So we've got three main types basically. So we've got addition reactions, and addition reactions, they occur specifically on alkenes. So whenever we start off with our alkene as our reactant and our alkene is reacting with something, that must be an addition reaction no matter what. So alkenes, they undergo addition reactions only. So for your grade 12, you must just know always that the alkenes undergo addition reactions only. We are still going to try and see what does it mean here, or how can we apply this to solve problems, or how can we apply this in chemical organic reactions. But basically, addition reactions are basically reactions whereby you are adding something, and you can only do that to an alkene, not any other compound or not any other homologous series. Okay, let's say for example you have got a simple example. Okay, we're still going to illustrate how does that happen, but just know guys that alkenes, they undergo addition reactions only. So alkenes can only undergo addition reactions. Then the second main type of reaction that we have is the substitution reaction. So it is the substitution reactions. So the substitution reactions, they occur on alcohols, they occur on haloalkanes, they also occur on alkanes. So if you have got an alcohol, or you have got a haloalkane, or you have got an alkane, all of those, they undergo substitution reactions. So we call them substitution reactions. Should I don't expect an alcohol will undergo an addition reaction, because I've already classified here at number 1 who say the addition reactions, they will only happen, or they will only occur on alkenes. In other words, I'm trying to say that the alkenes are the only organic compounds that undergo addition reactions. But alcohols, the haloalkanes and the alkanes, these ones can undergo substitution reactions. Then we have got the third main type, which is the elimination reactions. The elimination reactions, they also occur on alkanes, haloalkanes, as well as alcohols, same type of a group of compounds. So basically alkanes, haloalkanes, and alcohols, they can either undergo substitution reactions or they can undergo elimination reactions. Guys, these are very important points that I'm telling you, not that you'll be questioned something like this, but you guys you must be able to apply this when it comes to analyzing problems. Whenever you are given an alkene as your reactant, or whenever you are given an alkene as your starting material, you already know that whatever reaction that will proceed is going to be an addition reaction, because basically alkenes undergo addition reactions only. I'm repeating this for the millionth time. If you have got an alcohol, or you have got a haloalkane, or you have got an alkane, those three, any one of those three, they can undergo either substitution reactions or they can undergo elimination reactions. So these are the three main types of reactions that we have. But basically, remember guys, all of these reactions, their whole aim, it is to convert an organic compound from one homologous series to another. Just as we saw in the previous slide, that we converted an alkene to an alkane. We converted an alkene to an alcohol. Okay, so now let's look at the other reactions that we can talk about besides the three main reactions, which is the addition, substitution, and elimination. We also have other reactions, which is the combustion reaction. The combustion reaction, you're not hearing it for the first time, because you guys, most of you are coming from grade 11, so you guys know what combustion means, right? What does combustion mean? The combustion reaction, or how can you just explain it in simple terms? Anyone? Combustion reaction, anyone who knows what combustion reaction is? Yes, Orifa?
So I'm just gonna guess, isn't it the reaction that occurs and then carbon dioxide is formed? And
okay,
yeah,
partially correct. So combustion reaction, you know that your products are, so you've got your products here, your products are carbon dioxide and water. those two, carbon dioxide and water. So a reaction that releases carbon dioxide and water in the presence of oxygen is known as combustion reaction. We are still going to do them detailed by detailed, one by one, but basically carbon dioxide and water. And then we also have got the cracking reaction. The cracking reaction, we are still going to discuss it as well. And we have got lastly the esterification reaction. You guys already know esterification, right? We already did esterification, guys. Yes. The formation of an ester. When we form an ester, remember we said that we require the use of an alcohol and a carboxylic acid. We react them, okay? And then when we react them, we use sulfuric acid, concentrated sulfuric acid, or you can say concentrated H2SO4. So we already covered one reaction whereby we reacted a carboxylic acid with an alcohol to produce an ester. So now let us look at each and every one of these three main types: the addition, the substitution, as well as the elimination reactions. So we have to start with addition reactions. I will write here, guys. I've already told you one thing. I've already told you here at this point that addition reactions, they only occur on alkenes. Didn't I say that?
Yes, I said it.
Yes, so the addition reactions is only in alkenes. So whenever you are doing addition reactions, it means that your reactant must be an alkene. You must be converting an alkene to something else. Maybe you're converting an alkene to an alcohol, or you're converting an alkene to an alkane, something like this. So as long as you are converting an alkene to something else, that's when we have addition reactions. So now we've got subcategories now under these reaction types. So under addition reactions, the first type of reaction under addition reaction, the first type of addition reaction that we're going to talk about, it is going to be the hydrogenation. So we have got a reaction known as hydrogenation. So the hydrogenation of alkenes. So I'm just going to say this is the hydrogenation of alkenes. Usually they'll just say hydrogenation, but I'm just saying of alkenes to remind you guys that whenever we are doing addition reactions, they only occur on alkenes. So when we are hydrogenating, guys, these are addition reactions. So it means that there is something that we are adding, or there is a reagent that we are adding to our alkene so that we can convert it, or so that we can change it from being an alkene to being something else that is different. So here, when I'm saying hydrogenation of alkenes, it means I'm going to take an alkene and I'm going to add hydrogen. So I'm taking an alkene and I'm adding hydrogen. So basically, hydrogenation simply means that there is an addition. This is an addition of hydrogen gas, or H2 gas. Remember, guys, that a hydrogen is a diatomic gas. So basically, it means that it only exists as two atoms. You will never find a hydrogen that is like just an H like this. Okay, the hydrogen must be H2 because it exists only as H2 gas. So basically, when I'm doing hydrogenation, I'm adding the H2 gas to a what? To an alkene. So let me just take a small alkene, a hypothetical alkene of my choice. So my alkene is just going to be a simple one. And let me just say this is a simple alkene. All right. Do you guys see all this? Do you guys all see this? This is propene. This is propene. Do you guys all see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this alkene is propene. There is no need to say prop 1 in here because, you know, the double bond there, no matter what arrangement that you can make, it will always be on carbon number 1 there for propene. So this is just propene. So we are having propene. Propene is an alkene, right? It's an alkene, so it can undergo an addition reaction. In this case, we want it to undergo the hydrogenation addition reaction. So it means that we are reacting propene with hydrogen gas or we are adding hydrogen gas so that we can form what? Okay, so that we can actually form an alkane. So we are going to form an alkane after that. So if we react, or when we react our propene with hydrogen gas, we are going to form propane. So from propene, we now move to propane. But I want you guys to observe what actually happened so that we could end up having our product, which is our propane. So we had propene, it was an alkene. We reacted it with a hydrogen gas. So this is plus hydrogen gas. That's why we say it's hydrogenation, because we are adding, or we are reacting with hydrogen gas. And then our product was an alkane, which is propane. So do you guys realize here that we have changed our homologous series from a propene to propane? So it's from propene to propane. So we have added a hydrogen gas so that we could transform or convert our compound from being an alkene to being an alkane. So here, how did we actually do that? You guys can realize that this alkene, initially it had how many carbons? Three carbons and 6 hydrogens. So it was like 1 hydrogen, 2 hydrogens, 3 hydrogens, 4 hydrogens, 5 hydrogens, 6 hydrogens. So propene is a compound having 3 carbons and 6 hydrogens. And then now, because we have added 2 hydrogens, what actually happened? Since propene, it is a compound that is having a double bond. There is a double bond there. It is an unsaturated compound. So since this alkene is an unsaturated compound, this double bond actually breaks. Okay, this double bond actually breaks. So when this double bond breaks, what actually happened? Since here we are adding 2 hydrogens, so we are adding hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas is just 2 hydrogens. So it means that if we break this double bond, remember guys that these carbons must have 4 bonds in total surrounding them so that they can be stable. So here, if we are going to break this, imagine guys, we break this double bond. How many bonds will be missing on these 2 carbons? There is a double bond between them.
2 hydrogens.
2 bonds are missing, right? Let's just say 2 bonds are missing. Okay, so here, since there are 2 bonds that are missing, and we have got 2 hydrogens from the hydrogen gas, of course, that are available to react. So one of the hydrogens, it will go. Okay, let's just separate our hydrogen. When you write hydrogen, it's better for you to write it as its structural formula, like H, something like this. Yeah, this is the same thing as saying H2. So one hydrogen, it will end up going here to this carbon. Another hydrogen will end up going here to this other carbon. So do you guys see that we end up having a hydrogen here? We have another hydrogen here. But at first, we didn't have those hydrogens because we had 6 hydrogens only in the initial compound, which was a propene. But because there was a double bond, we were able to break this double bond. And when we broke this double bond, the hydrogens were able to fill up the missing bonds, because the moment we broke this double bond, guys, these carbons, these 2 carbons that had a double bond between them, they started lacking. This carbon here started having only 3 bonds surrounding it. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes, and also this carbon, it started lacking. It also started lacking one more bond, because now having only 3 bonds around. So if you count them, it's like 1, it's like 2, it's like 3. Like there are only 3 bonds surrounding it. So carbon can never be stable if it is not having a full octet. You guys know when it's having like 4 bonds, it is having a full octet, like it's having enough electrons surrounding it. Okay, so now to balance out what actually happens, the hydrogens will form a bond with each carbon here, such that we end up having propane. Do you guys kind of understand the simple illustration of what hydrogenation of an alkene is?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Anyone confused, guys? Anyone confused about hydrogenating alkenes?
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, sir, it is always hydrogen.
If it is
Well,
hydrogenation, we are adding hydrogen gas no matter what. If it's hydrogenation, mind the type of reaction, the type of addition reaction that we are doing here, it is hydrogenation. So it means that we are adding hydrogen, nothing else. But there are other types of addition reactions that we can do besides just hydrogenation. Do you guys kind of get the sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Now, so let's just make one more simple example of hydrogenation. Okay, before we get them, let's talk about the catalyst. Guys, remember that I said that for these reactions to proceed, they actually require a catalyst, okay? Because a catalyst, it is a reagent that actually that increases the rate of reaction, or it is the one that makes this reaction to be able to happen. It is the one that causes this propene, which is an alkene, to end up changing to become propane, which is an alkane. So the catalyst that we use when we are doing hydrogenation, so the catalyst that we're going to use here, so the catalyst used, it is palladium, or you can use platinum. So you can use platinum or you can use palladium whenever you are doing a hydrogenation of alkenes, or whenever you are adding a hydrogen gas to an alkene molecule. You have to use what? You have to use palladium, or you can use a platinum. But usually we write these reaction conditions on top of the arrow. So you guys can see that here we've got an arrow, right? This is an arrow showing that this reaction is proceeding from being a propene to being a propane. So basically this arrow, usually they will write the PT here, or they will write the PT. So they will write the PD or the PT. The PD there is for palladium. Palladium is just one of the elements that you find there on the periodic table. PD. Or is PT. PT is for platinum. Platinum is also one of the catalysts that we use so that we can do hydrogenation. So they can either use a platinum or they can use palladium. So this is platinum or palladium as a catalyst so that the reaction can be able to proceed, so that the propene can be able to be changed to become a propane. Do you guys all understand hydrogenation of alkenes?
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. Okay, so let's do another example, last example. If I say I've got this compound, here's my compound, and it's an alkene because it has got a double bond, of course. I'm sure now people can see that. And I say now I'm going to give you the following. And I say that I'm adding hydrogen gas. So this is my alkene. You guys can name this. What is the name of this alkene? What's the name of this alkene?
2-butene.
2-butene, right? So we can say this is 2-butene, or you can say but-2-ene. So this is 2-butene, or this is but-2-ene. So now if I'm going to react but-2-ene or 2-butene with hydrogen gas, right? Remember, this is an alkene. So whenever I am going to add this H2, you already know that in your mind, this is an addition reaction that's happening. And specifically, this is a hydrogenation reaction. So it means that I'm adding what? I'm adding a hydrogen. I'm adding like 2 hydrogens. Okay. Now, if I ask you what is the product that is going to be formed if I add 2-butene with a hydrogen gas in the presence of the catalyst platinum. So I'm going to write PT here, and I'm going to write in the bracket cat. to show that this is a catalyst. What is going to be my product?
Product is going to be butane.
Yes, it's going to be butane, because obviously, guys, when you're adding hydrogen, you know that your alkene will convert to an alkane. How does that happen? First of all, this double bond, it must break, this double bond. Okay, so the double bond must break. That's the first thing. And when the double bond now breaks, what will happen? These carbons will be left with only 3 bonds around them. So it means that for us to balance out those 3 bonds, one of the hydrogens, since there are 2 hydrogens, actually this is H2, so there are 2 hydrogens. One of the hydrogens will come to this carbon to balance its number of bonds, and another hydrogen will come to the other carbon to balance the number of bonds. Therefore, you'll end up having an alkane there, and the alkane is going to be butane. It's going to be H, C, H, H, and then this is going to be C, H. So remember, guys, here we only had 1 hydrogen at first. At carbon number 2, we only had 1 hydrogen when it was still an alkene. But now we've added another hydrogen after breaking the double bond. So now we have another hydrogen. And then now we have got another carbon here. And then this carbon is bonded to a hydrogen on top there. So this carbon is bonded to a hydrogen on top. But now, because we've added 1 hydrogen from the H2, it means that that hydrogen will come here. This is another hydrogen. And then now after that, we've got this carbon that is having 3 hydrogens. This one, we didn't do anything to it. Do you guys see how we end up forming butane?
Yes.
Yes. So our product here is an alkane, and the name of the alkane is butane. Simple stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you shouldn't forget to always show the catalyst. The catalyst is the one that drives the reaction so that it can successfully proceed. Yes, Sam?
So, sir, I choose which I want to use, which catalyst, PD or PT.
Okay, if you are asked a question, maybe they ask you a question which maybe they just give you a reaction like this. They won't tell you whether it is a hydrogenation reaction. They'll just give you a reaction when I have to figure out what I'm having an alkene. So it means that I'm adding. And then now maybe they go to this arrow and they put an A on top of this arrow. So you already know that the A there, it is representing the catalyst. Now the question comes and says, what is catalyst A? So you can either say platinum or you can say it's palladium, because you don't usually use both. So it's usually platinum or palladium for hydrogenation. Is that clear?
Okay, sir.
Yes. So here we chose to use platinum as our catalyst. Okay, so that's it for hydrogenation, guys. You're simply adding hydrogen gas. There's nothing much. The second type of addition reaction that we have, remember, guys, we are still on addition reactions, the ones that occur only on alkenes. So we have got hydrohalogenation. So we've got hydrohalogenation. Okay, so now we have got 2 things. This is no longer hydrogenation alone. This is now hydrohalogenation. So there are 2 things there. There's a hydro, there's also a halogen. Remember, guys, when I said hydrogenation reaction, we were just adding a hydrogen. That's why there was a hydro at the beginning of the name, hydrogenation. We were adding a hydrogen to an alkene in the presence of the pyridine or the platinum or the palladium catalyst. So now when it comes to hydrohalogenation, here we are no longer adding just a simple hydrogen. We are adding a hydrogen halide. So this is an addition. This is an addition reaction, but we are adding what? We are adding a hydrogen halide, HX. Okay, the X there is just for the halogen. When I talk about a hydrogen halide, so a hydrogen halide is just a reactant that would have hydrogen as well as a halogen. So it's a hydrogen halide. So for example, The hydrogen halides that I can talk about is maybe HCl. You guys know that the Cl there is a halogen, right? So you're having a hydrogen and a halogen, which is Cl. So this is a hydrogen halide. If you've got something like HBr, you guys already know the halogens by now, so you guys can recognize that this is H, which is hydrogen, and then this is Br, which is a halogen. So we can say that this is HBr, a hydrogen halide. And then you can even use HF. This is hydrogen fluoride. So hydrogen fluoride is also an example of a hydrogen halide. It starts with an H and after that it has got a halogen. You can use any combination of hydrogen and any halogen that you want. You can have hydrogen iodide. This is Hi. So it starts with an H and then it ends with an iodine. And the iodine there, the I there, it is coming from the halogens group, which is group number 17, or you can say group number 7, depending on the periodic table that you're using. But basically, when you are adding a hydrogen halide, it simply means that you are adding a reactant that is having a hydrogen and a halogen connected to it. Hence, we say it's known as a hydrogen halide. So it's a hydrogen halide. So now the question is, how do you add a hydrogen halide? First of all, I want to ask one thing before we go to the break. Which organic compound will undergo this hydrohalogenation? What homologous series can undergo this hydrohalogenation reaction? Yes, Orifa?
So isn't it halogen? What is it called? Haloalkane.
No, guys, I said how. Guys, didn't I say with addition reactions, there is only alkenes that undergo addition reactions? Didn't I say that? How you guys are not paying attention, that's your problem. I say it is only alkenes that undergo addition reactions, no other homologous series, no other organic compounds. So if you're telling me that haloalkanes are going, if you're gonna say that haloalkanes are going through this, that's going to be completely wrong. Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Edu-ca-te is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes. You are not only adding a hydrogen, you are adding a hydrogen halide. A hydrogen halide is just a hydrogen that is connected to a halogen atom. So for example, HCl, as I already stated, that the H there is a hydrogen, then the Cl is a halogen, or is our halide. So this is our halogen. So this is our halogen. For HBr, which is hydrogen bromide, the Br there is our halogen. For HF, the F there is our halogen. Remember guys, you guys must already know all the halogens that we have now, because it's only 4 that we use for these reactions. We have got fluorine, bromine, iodine, as well as chlorine. Those 4. So when you've got a hydrogen associated with a halogen, or a hydrogen connected to a halogen atom, then you're going to say that's a hydrogen halide. So when you're adding a hydrogen halide to what do we add to here, guys? Which organic compounds did I say that they undergo addition reaction? Which organic compounds? Alkenes only, guys, alkenes only. So you cannot tell me that here it is alcohols that are undergoing these reactions. No, it is only alkenes. The reactant that you're going to have at first when you are doing a hydrohalogenation reaction, or when you are adding the hydrogen halide, you are going to have an alkene. So let's say you have an alkene. Let's just use this a simple example of prop-1-ene, of propene. So if we use this, if we continuously use this example of propene, This is your alkene, which is your propene. And then now you are adding this to a hydrogen connected to a halide. So the halide or the halogen, I'm just going to denote it by X, guys. So there's no need for me for this party. Actually, we're just doing a general mechanism here, or we're just doing a general reaction. So there's no need for me to specify which halogen am I using. But the X there, guys, I've already told you to the X there, it is representing the halogen that is connected to the hydrogen. So that's the halogen that is connected to the hydrogen. So it can be anything between chlorine, bromine, fluorine, and iodine atom. So anything there that is connected to the hydrogen. So this is a hydrogen halide. I'm just going to show you generally how the reaction works. So basically, when you do this reaction, basically you're going to have H, you're going to have C, you're going to have H, you're going to have HM. So now my question is, when we are going to break this double bond, I'm sure guys remember, guys, for addition reactions, when you're adding, just like we did in hydrogenation, when we were adding the hydrogens, we broke the double bond of the alkenes and the hydrogens replaced those bonds. That's what we did. So here, when we are adding a hydrogen halide, we are still going to break the double bond. We are still going to break the double bond such that we remain with a single bond between the carbon atoms. But now, because we say that the carbon atoms, they must never have single bonds only. Do you guys see that here? I didn't change anything. I just broke the double bond. So it's like I just removed one of the bonds here. Instead of it being a double bond, it is now a what? It is now a single bond. Instead of it being a double bond, it's now a single bond. So are these carbons stable, guys, if they're having if they're having this number of bonds in total? Are they stable?
No, sir.
No, they're
No,
not
sir.
stable, right? Exactly. We need them to have at least 4 bonds surrounding them. We need to have 4 bonds around them. So in this case, for us to have 4 bonds around them, one of the bonds, let me just rewrite my hydrogen halide and put a line between the hydrogen and the halide or the halogen. Okay, so basically what happens, since I'm breaking one bond here, it means that for me to be able to have 4 bonds in total on these carbons that had a double bond before the reaction, basically means that the hydrogen must go to one carbon and then the halide must go to the other carbon. Do you guys kind of see that? The hydrogen must go to one carbon, the halide must go to the other carbon, so that we can end up having what? So that we can end up having a haloalkane. So here I'm going to put my hydrogen here because this carbon must have 4 bonds in total. Same applies to this other carbon. Since I broke their double bond, actually I broke one of the bonds there. So they are now having 3, so 1 missing. So here the hydrogen, I've already bonded it to this carbon. Here is the hydrogen. Do you guys all see that? What? Are you guys able to see what I'm talking about here?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
And then now my halide or my halogen, it will go to this carbon. The X there is just the halogen. It will go to this carbon. So obviously you guys can recognize that this will become a haloalkane. We are going to produce a what? We are going to produce a haloalkane. Right? This is a haloalkane. So now question is, when it now comes to this thing of adding this hydrogen halide, my question will be to you guys, did you realize that I've added this hydrogen to this carbon that is at the end, which is carbon number 1? That is where I added the hydrogen. And I added this X, which is the halogen. I added it to this compound, which is carbon number 2, I mean. So I added the hydrogen to carbon number 1 and then the halogen to carbon number 2. What if I reverse the order, guys? What if I say maybe I I can have another product? What if I say maybe I can have another product? Okay. What if I say instead of adding the hydrogen to carbon number 1, I can add it to carbon number 2. So instead of adding the hydrogen to this carbon number 1, I'm now going to change the order. I'm going to add the hydrogen to carbon number 2. And then the X, I'm going to add it to carbon number 1 after breaking the double bond. They will still have 4 bonds around them because that's the whole aim, right? For these carbons to at least be stable, so and have 4 bonds around them. So what if I reverse the order? Instead of adding the hydrogen to carbon number 1, I'm now adding to carbon number 2. Instead of adding the halogen to carbon number 2, I'm now adding it to carbon number 1. So it means that the product that I will be able to form there is a product whereby I've got something like H, C, H, H, and then C. Let me just rewrite it after just breaking the double bond. So here I've broken the double bond. I haven't done anything else, guys, for this one. I just broke the double bond. There was a double bond here. Remember, guys, it was a propene molecule, but now we broke one double bond. So now that we have broken one double bond there, we say that the hydrogen will go to carbon number 2. So in this case, if we just put our labels, this is your carbon number 1, and this is your carbon number 2, and this is your carbon number 3. So in this case, our hydrogen, we are going to find it on carbon number 2. And then you find out that your halogen, which is your X there, it will be on carbon number 1. Would you still say that these are the same compounds, guys? Are they still the same compounds, Olive?
No, sir, they're not.
They are not, right? Yeah, they're no longer the same compounds, guys. Okay, let's just put one realistic halogen here. For example, let's say I put Cl. So I'm adding HCl here. So this X here is my halogen, which is the Cl. So I'm adding a Cl there. Guys, if you were to name these two compounds, they will be different. Because the first one, yes, all of them, they are haloalkanes. They are all having a halogen as part of their their substituents. Yes, but if you were to name the first compound here, what will be its name? What's the name of the first compound in the product? Yes, Orifa?
Is 2-chloropropane.
Yes, so this is 2-chloropropane. What about the second one? The second compound, what is its name? Guys, what's the name of the second compound? Yes.
1-chloropropane.
This is 1-chloropropane. I can even ask from you guys from this point, what is the relationship between 2-chloropropane and 1-chloropropane? What can you say about these two? Yes, Orifa?
So they're positional isomers.
Yes, they are positional isomers. You guys must be able now to apply all the concepts that you have learned. You see, this Cl, it is found on position number 2 for this first compound, but here this Cl is found on position number 1 on the second compound. So these are positional isomers. Okay, but we are not there. We have already done isomers and we are done with them. So here, this hydrogenation reaction, in the hydrogenation reaction, I can either add my hydrogen, this hydrohalogenation, I can add my hydrogen to the second carbon and my halide to the first carbon, or vice versa. I can add the hydrogen to the last carbon, or I can add the halogen to the second carbon. Okay, so do you guys see what I'm actually getting? Two products here, but now the thing is, one of them will be more in your reaction. So basically, if you are going to react this propene, this alkene, and you react it with HCl, right? Not what we are going to have an equal amount of 2-chloropropane and 1-chloropropane, not really. in realistic terms, guys, we know that will be more of one product than the other. That's why we actually call it the major product. So basically, this 2-chloropropane is actually our major product. So we mean that when we are doing this reaction, it is producing more of 2-chloropropane than 1-chloropropane, and 1-chloropropane is our minor product. So 1-chloropropane we say is known as the minor product. So it means that it is less. It is not like a small amount of it is produced. That's why we say it's a minor product. Whereas the 2-chloropropane, a big amount or a huge amount of it is being produced by the reaction. But now, how do you choose which this one is the major product, this one is the minor product? You have to now follow the Markovnikov's rule. Okay, so now let's introduce a rule here known as the Markovnikov's rule. When you are adding, basically, during addition reactions, so this only happens during addition reactions, or whenever you are adding anything. Can be you are adding a hydrogen halide, or you are adding water, or you're adding something like that. So during addition reactions, the hydrogen adds, so the hydrogen atom here, so our hydrogen atom here, it only adds to the carbon with more hydrogens. It adds to the carbon that has more hydrogens. That's how you find the major product. So let's say to form the major product here. So during addition reactions, so when you are adding, for example, here we added a hydrogen halide. In this case, this is a HCl, that's our hydrogen halide. So during addition reaction, the hydrogen must always add to the carbon that has got more hydrogens so that it can form major products. Okay, so for example, guys, let's just restart and remove these arrows of ours, right? And say that we're having this propene. So this is our propene. This alkene is our propene. So on this propene, guys, the moment I break the double bond here, remember, guys, that my carbons, which is carbon 1 and carbon 2, the ones that had a double bond, after breaking this double bond, what actually happens to this propene? These two carbons, carbon 1 and carbon 2, they will end up missing some bonds. They will now have missing bonds. They don't have enough bonds now. Okay, so we have got the H, we also have got the Cl, right? So if you want to form a major product, or if you want to yield a major product, let's just say you want your reaction to give you a major product, or you want to determine what is your major product, you have to follow the Markovnikov rule that says that during addition reaction, the hydrogen will be the one that goes to the carbon that has got more hydrogens. So if we look at carbon 1 and carbon 2, I'm sure these are the two carbons that are lacking the bonds here, because carbon 1 is having 3, carbon 2 is also having 3 bonds. So they are lacking bonds here. They are having a shortage of bonds. So here, remember, guys, there are two possible ways of arranging this. I told you that you can let your hydrogen add to this carbon 1, or you can make your hydrogen to add to carbon 2. But now my question is, if I want to form a product, for a major product, remember my rule says that the hydrogen must add to the carbon that has got more hydrogens. Now compare, guys, these two carbons, carbon 1 and carbon 2. Both of them, they need at least one bond so that they can be stable after breaking the double bond that they had. Because remember, guys, this was propene. There was a double bond here, but we broke one bond from it. So these are now having a shortage of bonds. Now my question to you guys is, if I follow Markovnikov's rule, this rule that I just wrote down, for me to be able to form the major product, this hydrogen must add to which carbon? Carbon 1 or carbon 2?
Carbon 1, sir.
Carbon 1, right? Yes, because guys, if you look carefully, carbon 1, it is having 1, 2 hydrogens. So there are actually 2 hydrogens on carbon number 1, bonded to carbon number 1. So it already has got more hydrogens compared to carbon 2. Carbon 2 only has got 1 hydrogen bonded to it. Yes, it is bonded to this other carbon, but we're looking at the number of hydrogens bonded to the carbon. So the Markovnikov principle or the Markovnikov rule says that during these addition reactions, the hydrogen must always add to the carbon that has got more hydrogens. So here, our hydrogen here, this hydrogen from the HCl, it must add to this carbon, which is carbon number 1. And then this Cl, it must add to that carbon, which is carbon number 2. That is why we end up forming 2-chloropropane as our major product. Because basically, if we are going to add the hydrogen to carbon number 1, and we add the halogen, which is the Cl, that's the remaining thing, right? We add it to carbon number 2. You are going to end up having 2-chloropropane, because you guys can now see that here, this hydrogen from the HCl or from the hydrogen halide, we have added it to our alkene. After breaking this double bond, we have added it to this carbon that has got more hydrogens. And this Cl, we have added it where? This halide or this halogen, we have added it to this other carbon. This is the one that follows it, which is carbon number 2, the one that has got only 1 hydrogen. So basically, during addition reactions, the hydrogen atom will always add to the carbon that has got more hydrogens so that you can be able to form major products. So we are going to say that this is known as Markovnikov's rule. Yes, what's your question, Orifa?
So I just wanted to confirm about Markovnikov's rule, right? So Markovnikov's rule only applies to hydrohalogenation addition, right? Because the other ones doesn't have a hydrogen halide.
Well, it also applies to alcohols. We are still going to do the hydration reaction. It will also apply as well.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, for now, let's just apply to hydrohalogenation. So do you guys see that here, our major product that we're going to form is 2-chloropropane, because we form it by saying the hydrogen from the HCl, it must go to the carbon that has got more hydrogens than this carbon number 2, which has got less hydrogen. So this 1-chloropropane, we did the opposite. Do you guys kind of see that? Like on when we formed 1-chloropropane, the second product, we did the opposite of Markovnikov's rule. It's more like we did anti-Markovnikov. Like we actually went against Markovnikov's rule. You kind of see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So we actually form a minor product here. So we say the 1-chloropropane is a minor product because it's just it won't be so much inside your reaction mixture. If you are producing this in a lab, for example, because guys, you guys should know that this is not only theory, you will end up producing this in a lab. So if you are reacting propene with hydrochloric acid, which is HCl, you know that you expect 2 products. It is 2-chloropropane and 1-chloropropane, but one product is more than the other. 2-chloropropane, it is the major product. There is a higher concentration, or there is a higher amount of 2-chloropropane than 1-chloropropane. So I'm going to say that 1-chloropropane is going to be a minor product, whereas 2-chloropropane is going to be a major product. This is known as Markovnikov's rule. Do you guys follow it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now I'm going to give you something like this as a bit of practice. So I'm going to give you, this is an alkene. So this is an alkene. You guys can see this alkene. I won't name it for you. You guys now know how to name. And then now, okay, hydrohallucination. Usually, we are not usually using that much of catalysts. Catalysts are not really most important for these ones. But if they ask you the catalyst that can work there, you can use H3PO4, the catalyst there. You can use H3PO4, which is known as a trihydrogen phosphate or something like that, or you can say phosphoric acid. So this is phosphoric acid. You can just use phosphoric acid, but usually they won't ask you the catalyst when it comes to hydrohallucination. Okay, so now let's say now I give you an alkene and I tell you that I'm adding a hydrogen halide. I'm going to add a hydrogen halide, and my hydrogen halide is going to be HBr, like this. And then now I'm going to ask you, and I say that this is all happening in H3PO4, phosphoric acid. Now my question is to you, give the IUPAC name of the minor product that is formed. This is a task, do it. Give the IUPAC name of the minor product that is formed. Before we even do the minor product, I want to hear you guys, your approach. How are we going to find the minor product? Because my question is for this reaction, give the IUPAC name of the minor product. What can we do to find it?
The minor products. First of all, sir, we're going to do the anti of Markovnikov's rule.
Yes, we are going to do anti of Markovnikov's rule. So it means that definitely we have to break our double bond. Remember, no matter what, we break our double bond. Out. So when we break our double bond here, we can now notice that here carbon number 1 and carbon number 2 are now missing bonds. They need at least one bond, okay, after breaking the double bond. But you don't do this on paper, guys. This thing of breaking bonds, you are just going to write the final answer. Don't break the bond on paper. I'm just showing you how we stand. So here, when we are doing the anti of Markovnikov, what does Markovnikov say? Let's start with what does Markovnikov say so that you can oppose him, oppose his laws.
So Markovnikov's rule says we add the hydrogen on the we add the hydrogen on the carbon with more hydrogen.
Yes, we add the hydrogen on the carbon with more hydrogen. In this case, be specific, refer to carbon 1 and carbon 2.
With Markovnikov's rule, it means we have to add the hydrogen on carbon number 1. But if we are doing the anti, it means on carbon number 1, we're gonna add the bromine.
Yes. So just do the opposite, guys. To form a minor product, you have to add this H here. It must go, instead of going there, remember guys, the Markovnikov says that it must go there at carbon number 1. But because, remember, they say they want the minor product. The minor product, it is found when you do the opposite of Markovnikov rule. You take the hydrogen, you add it where? You add it to this carbon that has got less hydrogens rather. So you do the opposite of what Markovnikov says, because Markovnikov says that the hydrogen must add to the carbon with the more hydrogens. So it means that this Br, it will be the one that will add to the first carbon. So you know that your product, your minor product that will be formed there, it will be like carbon, and then this carbon would have Br, and would have 2 hydrogens. Do you guys see where the Br is coming from?
Yes.
Yes. So where is the Br coming from in this case? Basically, this Br is coming from the hydrogen halide. This is the halogen part. So this Br is the one that will add to this carbon. That is why this carbon here that you're having, which is carbon number 1, it is now having a Br on top there. That Br there is coming from the hydrogen halide. Okay, so this is our Br. And then now our hydrogen, remember that it added to carbon number 2. So if we give those numbers, this is going to be carbon number 1, carbon number 2. Okay, and then if we continue doing that, we have got 3 more carbons that are following each other. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Here it is. So what's the IUPAC name of this compound? Because the question was, give the IUPAC name of the minor product.
So 1-bromo-pentane.
So these are the questions that they usually ask. 1-bromo-pentane. 1-bromo-pentane. So if they say give the IUPAC name of the minor product, you first analyze how can you get the minor product. To get the minor product, you have to do what? You have to add your hydrogen. Do the opposite of what Markovnikov says, because Markovnikov says that you must add the hydrogen to the carbon that has got more hydrogens. But now, because you are opposing Markovnikov's rule, it means that you're going to add the hydrogen to the carbon with the fewer hydrogens. And then the Br is the one that will go to the carbon with the more hydrogens. Do you all see that, guys?
Yes.
Yes, 1-bromopentane. And then what is the major product? What is going to be the IUPAC name of the major product?
Will be 2-bromopentane.
Yeah, it's going to be 2-bromopentane. Yeah, it's like you guys just can imagine this. We see if this hydrogen follows Markovnikov rule, it is going to attach to this carbon number 1, which is having more hydrogens than carbon number 2. That's Markovnikov's rule being followed. Then we know that our Br would have to add to carbon number 2. Therefore, that will be 2-bromopentane. You guys must just know how to name organic molecules. That's why naming is very essential. Do you guys now get what the hydrohalogenation addition reaction is?
Yes.
Yes, that's the hydrohalogenation. Before we get to the elimination, all right, so we have got a hydration reaction. So I'm going to follow with a hydration reaction. All of this, guys, is still addition reaction. All of this is still addition reactions. Hydration of alkenes. Guys, I repeat again, all of these reactions, addition reactions only occur on alkenes. So it's only alkenes that undergo addition reactions. It's just for grade 12, that's what you should know. So hydration, guys, when you're talking about hydrating something, what do you think hydrate means? Or hydrate, what does the term hydrate means?
Hydrate means to add water, sir.
Yes, it means to add water. Okay. So if you say I'm feeling dehydrated, you don't have enough water in your body. So you need to hydrate your body. That's just an example of how we use hydrate, how we talk about hydrate. So here, the addition reaction known as hydration reaction is a reaction whereby we are adding water. So this is an addition of water. So we are adding water, which is H2O. We are adding it to an alkene. Guys, bear in mind, it's only alkenes that undergo these addition reactions. So we're adding water to an alkene. Okay, let's see how does that happen and what do we form. If we're just going to start with the same alkene, which is propene. So this is propene. this propene here is an alkene. This is propene, is an alkene. And then now, I say now I'm adding water. I'm adding water. I'm going to produce something like this. Then we're going to analyze how we got there. H, C, H, O, H, and then C, H, H, H. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to have this compound. Now I want to see if you guys have been paying attention all on Markovnikov and stuff. This is still the same thing, guys. We are adding a water this time. We are no longer adding hydrogen halide. And water, guys, since it's H2O, you can express it as HOH. It's better for you to express it as HOH. So it's HOH. This is your water. So this water here, what actually happens, same mechanism occurs, guys, because remember that we are taking this double bond, we break the double bond. And when we break the double bond, we are just going to remain with a single bond between the carbons. And once these two carbons, which is carbon 1 and carbon 2, once carbon 1 and carbon 2 are now missing one bond each like this, it means that now they are not stable anymore. So that's where the water comes to the rescue. So here, for this reaction, the hydrogen added to carbon number 1, and then the OH added to carbon number 2, so that it can form this product. You guys all see that here on carbon number 1. On carbon number 1, now we have got a hydrogen. On carbon number 2, now we've got an OH. Are you guys able to see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So basically, after breaking this double bond, the hydrogen added to carbon number 1, the OH added to carbon number 2. So what homologous status is this organic compound?
Which organic compound you say?
The product.
The product, it's an alcohol, sir.
Yes, the product is an alcohol. So it means that we have just converted an alkene to becoming an alcohol by breaking the double bond. Then we allowed the hydrogen and the OH to be able to add on this. Okay, basically for this to happen, we need a catalyst, of course. For you to be able to do hydration of alkenes, when you want to hydrate alkenes, you will need an acid such as sulfuric acid. Okay, you need sulfuric acid. It is the one that acts as a what? As a catalyst. And you'll also need water. Those are the two things that you need. You need sulfuric acid. You also need water. I think those ones are the most important ones according to how I remember it. But basically, for you to be able to do the hydration of alkenes, when you want to add water to alkenes, it means that you will need what? You will need sulfuric acid and you will need excess water. So guys, these catalysts, they're actually reaction conditions. We actually call them reaction conditions. So these are the conditions that must be met so that the reaction can proceed, or so that the reaction can be successful in producing whatever product that we want. So for hydration, we need sulfuric acid. So we need a sulfuric acid. Usually we need it concentrated. So we need sulfuric acid, and we also need to add excess water. We need excess water. Those are the two conditions that must be met so that the reaction can occur. So this sulfuric acid, it is serving as a catalyst. So it is serving as a catalyst. Sulfuric acid, it serves as a catalyst. Then the excess water, remember guys that water has got an H and it's got an OH. So the H will go to that carbon number 1, OH will go to carbon number 2. But now my question, guys, is this alcohol that I formed here the major product, or is not the major product, the one that I formed?
It's a major.
The one that you formed, it's a major product according to Markovnikov's rule.
Yeah, according to Markovnikov's rule, is a major product. So we're going to another 10 minutes break, guys. Go and form the minor product from this. Give me the minor product that we can have. Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video, and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you. But sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Edu-ca-te is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes. And I asked you, Wuti, is this alcohol that we formed here the major product or the minor product? And you guys say that it is the minor product. It's the major product, right? And when you explained it, you said that why did you say that this product that we formed is a major product? It is because we followed the Markovnikov's rule when we are adding something. So in whatever it is that we are adding, always, guys, the hydrogen will always go to the carbon that has got more hydrogens. Do you see, guys, that here the moment you are going to break the double bond here, you break it. Guys, when you are writing it, don't break it. Like for exams, don't break it. But I'm just showing you what you break the double bond. And when you break the double bond, both carbon 1 and carbon 2, they now have got only 3 bonds surrounding them. Like it's only 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 bonds only on each of them. So now this hydrogen oxide or hydrogen hydroxide, this water njalo, this H2O, what happens? The hydrogen, what does it do? It goes and it will fill in the space on carbon number 1 so that we can have at least our carbon having 4 bonds. So that's the hydrogen that you are seeing here there. Okay, and then this OH group, this hydroxyl group, it will go and it will make a bond with carbon number 2. That's why you're seeing NOH there. Do you guys all see that? So we apply Markovnikov's rule so that we can be able to determine whether our product is going to be the major product or the minor product. For this one, this alcohol that we have formed here, it is actually known as isopropyl alcohol if when you grow up. But for now, give the IUPAC name for this alcohol. What's the name of this alcohol?
It's 2 propanols.
It's 2-propanol, right?
Yes.
So it's 2-propanol. So we say that 2-propanol here in this case, it is acting as our major product. So that's the major product because it is following Markovnikov's rule. Means that the hydrogen here, it was added to the carbon having more hydrogens. Then the OH here, it was added to the carbon having this OH, it was bonded to the carbon having less hydrogens. Do you guys all see that?
Yes.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, that's it, guys. So the minor product, that was my question. What is the minor product going to be here?
Minor product is going to be 1-propanol.
Yes, minor product is going to be 1-propanol. Where are my slides gone now? Okay, 1-propanol. Okay, so if you are going to reverse this Markovnikov rule, or if you are going to do the opposite of Markovnikov rule, it means that the hydrogen, instead of adding it to the carbon that has got more hydrogens, you will add it to the carbon that has got less hydrogen. Okay, and then now instead of adding the OH to the carbon that has got less hydrogens, you will end up ending it here on the first carbon that has got many hydrogens. So you guys should make sure that whenever you find the minor product, you do the opposite of Markovnikov's rule. Markovnikov rule say that you should add the hydrogen to the carbon that has got more hydrogens, but in this case now you see that you want to find a minor product. A minor product is only obtained if you don't obey Markovnikov's rule. Means that if you are adding this hydrogen to a carbon that is having less hydrogen, such as carbon 2 here, do you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so that is definitely going to give us a structure whereby I've got CCC like this. So instead of the OH going on carbon number 2, the OH will actually be on carbon number 1. The OH will be on carbon number 1, and then you draw the remaining part of the structure. Yeah. So this is 1 propanol. So this is 1 propanol. So this 1 propanol, it is a minor product. We say it's the minor product because it's going against anti-Markovnikov rule. No, it's going against a Markovnikov rule. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how we do hydration for alkanes. Remember the reaction conditions. We need a concentrated sulfuric acid. Okay, I just wrote sulfuric acid here, but you guys should say that it is concentrated sulfuric acid, and then in the presence of excess water. You must also add excess water, so a high amount of water or more water. Do you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So those are the main addition reactions that you study about. But there is another addition reaction, which is the addition of a halogen alone, which is halogenation. But that one is way less common. So it's a task for you guys to go and study about halogenation of alkenes. But it's not for exam purposes usually. Study the halogenation of alkenes. So this is your task. You guys will tell me your outcomes. So when you're taking alkenes and you halogenate them, means that you are adding a halogen.